but let's bear me for just a sec while I get this thing working. This one. There, that's it. Okay, let's start. Yeah, it works. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Frederick Bacala. What happened there? Basically,
It's wiggling the wire, I think.
Yeah, they plugged in.
This is strange. There we go. Okay. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that'll work. Oh, that's nice. I think I know why. I think I'm switch this around. And also, just asking people to join this thing, internet junk. So,
Okay.
let me get out of this stuff real quick. There we go. Now we're good. All right. Today I'm actually going to be talking about a course that I prepared that I've been teaching at YCU Extension. Basically, first off, I'm a practical English professor at Yokohama City University. It's a municipal public university in Yokohama. And I also teach at the YCU Extension, which is basically for all the community to come and take classes at the university. And I designed this class last year, or last year I designed this class. It's Japanese Culture and English. It's actually a content course, but it's a content course that I made. I originally wanted to make this for our regular academic students. I'll talk a little bit about why I can't do that a little bit later on, but I'm now teaching this at the extension course at YCU. Now, first off, why did I make this course? I made this course basically because of these things. Now, one thing I realized, I've been teaching English for 16 years. I've been teaching college level in the United States and here. Well, in the United States for 6 years, and here for the past 4 years. And one thing I noticed, especially in Japan, is when I first started teaching in 2000, and I remember I was actually, that time I was in ALT, but I remember in the high school level, the very first class I taught, I was a human tape recorder, and I taught them, conversation, and was, hello, how are you? I'm fine, thank you. And you? And I did that high school level. And then when I first came here, at least the second time around in 2012, I taught at another university, and I remember the first class that I had, and it was a whole class was on, hello, how are you? I'm fine, thank you. And you? And that bothered me. Actually, that kind of bothered me a lot. It's like, they learned that in high school, most likely they learned that in junior high school, most likely, possibly in elementary school they learned this. So why am I teaching this in university level? It boggled my mind. Why am I doing that? So that's one of the reasons why I designed this course, because I didn't want it to be boring. I wanted to make it, I didn't want any of these situations to happen, because of course that kind of situation is boring. They don't understand the usefulness or purpose of English, and it is repetitive. Come on, if you learn that in junior high school, why am I teaching that in university level? It doesn't make sense. So, I created this course at YCU Extension because of the research about content-based learning, content-based English, or just learning in general. And I'm kind of quoting from two sources here. First one, it says here, content-based instruction, or CBI, tries to develop both the students and other content knowledge through providing them with authentic, meaningful academic context. That's Amiri in 2014. And I cut this one, which is actually interesting. This is actually from a brain study with content learning and how content learning can help affect your brain. And Kennedy in 2006 said, an approach that integrates L2 instruction with the content of other curricular subject areas allows teachers to reinforce, what am I putting on here?
Going to
Hold on a
say.
sec. This damn thing keeps going. Let me see if I can try to get it. Anyways, curricular subject and allows teachers to reinforce the basics while ensuring that L2 instruction is meaningful and therefore motivating for students to actively acquire new languages. That made sense to me. I mean, when you put content with language, they will, of course, you can integrate it even with their L1 and L2 and the content. It does help to validate why they're learning L2, and also helps them with their other, subject areas that they're learning, that they're studying, or they already know. Now, my goals for teaching Japanese culture and English are basically this information here. Just like you saw this previous slide, I'm trying to provide meaningful context in academic and non-academic situations. This is where I had to add a little extra, because it is actually, you can actually do this in non-academic situations also. Japanese students might have knowledge of their own culture, which will give students motivation to want to learn and use the English they have learned in class. Now, this one is interesting, because I recently, every Thursday, I do we have an English, practical English session where I speak with students during lunchtime, and any student can come and talk. And I asked the students that were there, so what do you know about where you live in Japan? And they're looking at me like, huh? And I asked them, what kind of culture do you know about where you live? And they're like, oh, I can explain it to you, but I only know how to say it in Japanese. I'm like, well, try speaking in English. And they're like, I'm going to try, but it's hard. So this is actually why I designed this course too, because I want them to be able to kind of tell others about their culture in English. And of course, we can see the purpose of learning and using English, because it is kind of content-based. It is something that they could use in the future. It's definitely not repetitive. Japanese culture is so really broad. And even within cities, I've noticed, within particular cities in Japan, they all have their own little culture. Like, for example, if you've ever been to Yokohama, and you know this, I'm pretty sure you know this, if you ask somebody from Yokohama, where are you from? They'll say, I'm from Yokohama. If you ask somebody who lives in Hadano, in Kanagawa, where do you live? Oh, I live in Kanagawa. Now, do you hear the differences here? That person from Hadano said he lives in Kanagawa, and the person from Yokohama said they live from Yokohama. So there's actually a cultural pride of Yokohama, I don't know, whatever that is. And I want them to teach others about that stuff. And it's actually, that's why it's not really repetitive too. And this one I will talk a little bit later. Be able to prepare for foreigners coming to Japan in the 2020 Olympics. I'll talk about this later, because this is also in my focus statement for this course. Now I want to talk about this course, how I arranged it. It's basically, I teach this to the YCU extension. We meet once a week. It's a 90-minute class. I teach from 5 o'clock to 6:30 because I have regular classes at the university before that time. We have 10 classes for this term. And I'm using this textbook. Now, this is Fabulous Japan. It's actually a Lonely Planet kind of textbook, and it's technically a reading textbook. This is a reading textbook. But I'm able to incorporate this because I like how it's arranged. And I'll show you how it's arranged a little bit shortly. But I use this book as my guide, but I don't necessarily use it as my only means of teaching this class. Okay? Now, this is the course summary that the students would get when they're looking at the YC Extension catalog, my course summary. So you can see here, this is basically the course summary of the class. In this course, you will read, write, listen, and speak in English about Japan. This is a great opportunity to be able to talk about your home country, Japan, in English. We'll discuss topics about several areas in Japan. This is also a great opportunity to talk in English about where you live, and that's important, and important things about your city. This will be very important in the future when Japan hosts the 2020 Olympics and foreigners come to visit this wonderful country. And then, please come and join us. Now, that's why I made this. That's one of the reasons why I made this course, because I knew the 2020 Olympics was coming soon, very soon. And we live, at least where I live, this is in Kanagawa, Yokohama, very close to Tokyo. And during the 2020 Olympics, there's going to be a lot of foreigners coming here. And most of at least my students right now, they want to be homestay families for foreigners when they come. So I want them to be able to kind of talk about Japan, not all the cool stuff like Kyoto or whatever, but I want them to talk about their city, where they live. Hold on, I gotta get rid of this stuff. Their city, where they live, and kind of talk about that with foreigners coming. Now the schedule, this is during the 10-week schedule that I have. This is the reason why I use this book, because this book is very nice. In each chapter, each unit is a specific city or prefecture. And I kind of arrange it like that. So as you can see here, this is from last year. This is last year's course. Kanagawa, Yokohama, Tokyo, Shizuoka, Mount Fuji, Kyoto, Osaka, Aichi, Nagoya, Okinawa, Hokkaido, and Sapporo, Nagasaki, Fukuoka. And then currently this year, I'm teaching it. I'm always using Kanagawa, Yokohama as the first course because we all live in, at least my students usually live in Yokohama, Kanagawa area. And then you can see all the different prefectures there. It's based on this book, and I just kind of moved it around a little bit. Now, in this course, my methodology is basically this. I use this as source material, but it's not the only thing I'm using. And I use the readings from the textbook just as a icebreaker. And then I always bring authentic text stuff, internet stuff, about different prefectures and that kind of stuff, incorporating it into my class. We do a lot of speaking activities because I think that's important, especially for my extension students. They want to speak. They're going to be speaking to foreigners, so they should speak, obviously. We do group activities because a lot of times they're going to be preparing a guided tour of a particular prefecture. We do pair work because I want them to practice just one-on-one kind of informations, presentations, and then we're using this information as a tool for speaking with foreigners. And then my last part is, this is their homework. I want them to reflect. What did they learn about the prefecture? How can they use this information to tell foreigners, teach foreigners about Japan when they come for the Olympics? So that's why I kind of prepared this. Now I want to talk about, this is sort of a kind of important part, and this is I think this is just my university that I have the pitfalls. But let me first talk about the journey and the positive and negative aspects of doing this course. Positive is definitely enjoyment. My students actually want to speak in English about where they live and what's interesting about the area. I mean, I'm learning a lot. I didn't know that Gifu was, kind of the main thoroughfare for the Tokaido back in the Meiji era, going from the northern, connecting all the different things. I didn't know that until I found it from the students. I didn't know a lot of things. So it was enjoyable for them, but also for me. I learned a lot about Japan, and they enjoy it because they can finally talk about their city or town or prefecture in English. It was very popular. When I first did this course last year, there was actually a waiting list. There's only 20 students can be allowed in the class. There was a waiting list, and then it was packed. It was a shock. This year I actually have a full load of students. I have 20 students, and that's a max. That's a max in the class. So it's actually very popular. And I had one student last year who somehow was allowed to take it again this year. So I had one repeat student in my class taking it again. So it was very popular. And for these students, these extension students, yes, they can use their knowledge to help them with homestay. It's kind of useful for them. And I put this as a positive, it's also a negative. It's an extension course. So, yeah. That's positive and negative. That's positive and negative. Now, negatives. Again, this is actually negative. I think it's only allowed as an extension course at my university. Now, I did talk to at least my supervisor, And my supervisor kind of explained to me, well, academic faculty may feel that an English professor doesn't have the academic knowledge to teach an academic course. Because I really wanted to make this an academic content course in the university level, not necessarily an extension course. But that's what my supervisor told me. That, oh, I have a master's degree in teaching, or in education, my specialization is second language teaching, so you might not have that kind of knowledge to teach that kind of course. It's just a culture course. So that's what they told me. And also said that other faculty members might feel uncomfortable. Why is this English teacher teaching content? They're worried about that. That's justifiable. I think that's very justifiable. So this is my pitfall, because I really wanted to make this an actual content course. And that's another reason why right now I'm actually trying to get my doctorate. I'm trying to get my doctorate in education, but just in a general sense. I want to get my doctorate doctorate in education, not in TESOL. I'm currently getting my doctorate in education only, so I can prove to the professors that, oh, well, I got my doctorate in education, not in ESL, not in TESOL. So give me the course. Let me teach the course. So that's actually a pitfall for me. That's the one that really bothers me. And I only have 5 minutes left, so I wanted you to think about this, especially for the question and answer period. What are some ways to persuade administration of faculty in content courses that English professors, ESL professors, can teach content courses in English? And in your institution, are there any content-based English courses being taught by English professors without a master's or doctorate degree in a specific content? So for example, American culture. Are there any professors teaching at your university that's teaching a content course in American culture, but they don't have an American culture degree? They have a degree in English, doctorate in English. And what are some other ways of teaching content to students besides making an actual course, content course like this in the university? So I hope when we do the question and answers, you guys can help me with this, because I really want to try to convince my university that I'm capable of teaching this. I'm an American. Oh, come on, I can teach this. I want to try to convince them that I can do this. But I read a lot of stuff. I'm doing, I can do a lot of stuff. I can teach even about Hawaiian culture. I mean, I went to school at the University of Hawaii. I took a Hawaiian studies class. I'm very familiar with Hawaiian history, Hawaiian culture. Why can't I teach that course? So, kind of hopefully I want to get some information from all of you to help me convince them that I can teach this, okay? Or if you teach it already, tell me how you were able to do it, because I can't do it. And I don't know if it's maybe because I teach at a public university. I don't know. I'm very curious about that, because I think private universities will allow you to teach it, but I'm not allowed to. That sucks. I want to teach that. Okay, so when we do the question and answers, and if you can give me some good advice, please let me know. Okay? All right. I guess I'm done. So thank you very much.
Okay, our next presenter is Keith Blaine from